What is going on, Generation Crypto, Coin Observatory? How's everybody doing tonight? Taking questions and responses from the YouTube chat, and same with Facebook chat. So you guys let me know how you're doing tonight. I'm going to cover the market as I usually do in our power hours. I'm going to go over Bitcoin, price action, get us an update on the technicals, what I'm seeing on the chart, what I've been preaching, and how's that reflecting on current price. I'm also going to cover MarketCap, and then towards the end, we'll take some altcoin requests. I'm getting wait till we got a couple more viewers. How's audio? How's video? You guys let me know how's the stream quality. You guys are awfully quiet tonight. Awfully quiet. It's like crickets. Do you guys hear them? Anyways, all right. I'm just gonna go ahead and dive in. Awesome. Thank you, Jay. So we've been kind of watching this TD sequential. If you are in our chat rooms, you should know what I'm talking about when it comes to the TD sequential. And we saw this red 9 develop, and now we're seeing this green 9 develop, coming down to this the bottom of the green 9. I had a fractal up here, and I've got this thin yellow line over it at 64.21. I'm just going to make that a little thicker. I said I'm looking for a close above 64.21 to let us know that we're possibly going back up. And we saw that close happen today. And we also saw today is something that I covered in our last workshop a few days ago when I talk about trying to find bottom when there's price discovery going on. If you don't know what price discovery is, it's whenever short sell keeps short selling an asset until bulls fight back with like a reflexive type of volume. And then we get the higher rate of change, and we essentially form a new high. And usually there's going to be two types of sell-offs. You're going to identify one fractal low and then the next low. I'm not going to go into strategy completely, but we saw this happen today. And 6,200 should have been a long. If you guys are in our BitMEX channels, if you guys are margin traders, you should have caught that 6,200 long based on like the 15-minute chart. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go into that real quick. Why that should have been a nice entry? Well, we posted our first fractal low, then we saw that big surge of buy volume come in. Go ahead and squish that down. We saw that big surge of buy volume come in. We posted our fractal low, and next thing we posted this another deep sell-off with a really fast rate of change. Rate of change was influenced by some really aggressive buy volume. This candle right here should have been a buy at that 62.69. This is where one would close their short. This lets us know that the market is deciding that, hey, this is where bulls are going to want to fight back. This is where we should see the reflexivity come in and price to go back into the opposite way. Back to the one-day chart, last power hour on Monday, and then in our chats and my updates, I had said we're looking for a 9. When we were just on an 8th on Monday, said expect a big move the next day, and we saw this steep 9 sell-off. I wasn't expecting the sell-off to be this steep, right? But I mean, if this was a capitulation run, they did really good. They capitalized on fears and emotions and the market overreacting to the ETF delay, right? The title of this power hour is market is overreacting. And BTC had essentially started posting this inverse head and shoulders during ETFs, but I don't think ETFs had a big impact on this technical formation. Hence, I wasn't looking for this neckline to essentially just fail. But interesting enough, we did form somewhat of a higher low than previous low and a higher high than previous high. So that gives BTC some bullish hope. I'm not here to say we're going back bullish again, but this big candle coming in today and finding support where we did at that 62.88, 6200 mark was really nice. We also see these tweezer bottoms on the 1-day chart. So tweezer bottoms along with a green 9, that should be fairly hopeful for a price rise, right? For price to go up. As for the last fractal I was looking at before forming this fractal low at the 6100, that 6400 range, well, we're closing above it. I want to see a pullback to that 6400. I want to see, essentially want to see more price discovery. And if we see some more deep sell-offs, more price discovery, more bears essentially pushing down, trying to form a new low, and bulls fighting back with that higher rate of change, and with an influx of buy volume, that lets us know that the sell-off is essentially over. And currently the sequential is really playing out, right? We see a 9 here on the 30-minute for a sell-off. Now we're sitting at a 7. Should see another 8, 9. Back down to the POC 64.90 and essentially hopefully make a leg back up, break past 66. But if we do retest these lows, I want to see how volume is reactive and at those levels, and essentially see if it's really a good point to, or a good time to essentially post an entry for another margin long. Lido, I'm looking at Discord. If you could please ask questions today on either Facebook stream or YouTube stream. Thank you, Zed. How are those red green numbers called? Fractals? No, this is the TD sequential. I'm gonna go ahead and type that in Discord for you. It's Tom DeMark's sequential trading system. And it's just an indicator on TradingView. They're essentially counted. I'm not going to go too far into details, but whenever we post a 1, whether it's a red one or a green one, the next 4 candles, so let's say the 4 is going to have a higher high than the 1, and the 6 is going to have a higher high than the 2. So it's posting a higher high or a lower low than 4 candles back, and then you get a 9 count. Typically the 9 is a market cycle, and you're going to see a reversal at that level into the next market cycle. The last 9 we posted on a daily was that top at 8,400, and even the 4 hours showing a sequential trading cycle where we're seeing that red 9 at the bottom, then we got a 1, 2, we're currently at a 4 candle. So if we post a 5, 6, and a 7, then they'll let us know that the 8 and the 9 might be a sell. But we essentially want to wait. You only want to trade 1s and 9s when you're trading TD sequentials. Any more questions on BTC? The fractals, I'm going to answer fractals. Fractals on TD sequential are going to be these lateral green dotted lines and lateral green dotted reds and greens, right? So these are going to be the fractals. This is where we're looking to find support, or it's what's going to act as resistance right now, and this is what's acting as support. So a close below that 62.89 would essentially put BTC bearish into another downward trend. Any questions on BTC? Looking at our VPVR, right, based on how we zoom in, I'm really looking at the 7,400 mark. That's where our POC is. That's where most of the volume came in to fill the gap. Essentially, making a move back up to 74 would be really nice. some of you guys have posted, I'm going to call it a meme chart for now, this head and shoulders formation with resistance up at 6753 or 6700. I'd say let's wait for that one to play out before we call it. It's way too soon. I think of it as a meme chart for now. As incomplete formations, they're not quite tradable. BTC BVOL it's really changing. Jay, last year we're looking at Bitfinex and like 45K would have been a breakout BVOL. 45K BTC that is. Currently it's been off the charts ever since December. It's hard to gauge, but you know, one thing we really want to look at is what's volume doing at lows when we post a new low in a run, or when we retest a previous low during a sell-off, during price discovery. You want to see how reactive volume is on the way back up. Here we see this really nice surge of buy volume, really nice surge of interest. I'm going to go into the Bitcoin futures chart. And we had seen futures post some pretty good trading volume up high, right? Back at the 78 range. We saw futures buy the dip the first time around at 76. And then today we see futures really coming in aggressively and starting to push the price back up. So in a sense, where do I currently stand on BTC? I want to see that 7,400. That might be ambitious, but I'd like to see price get back up, right? I want to see us post a high, and I want to see what volume is doing at the lows. So whenever we post a new low, or when we come back down to retest a previous low, I want to see how reactive buy volume is and how aggressive it is coming in and pushing that price back up. Back to the Bitcoin chart. Just wanted to highlight a few things. Looking at Bitcoin upside down, so the inverse of the Bitcoin chart. All right, so this is essentially BTC upside down. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this line back down to here. And if this was a head and shoulders, right, which was an inverse head and shoulders, we're just going to change our perspective real quick. And we saw price come up to here, right? This would have been a shortable formation. Essentially, this would be a time to go long. We saw price break it. So upon price coming back down on the inverse chart, which would be going back up on the regular chart, back to that neckline, and establishing good support there, that would essentially put us at bottom. Currently, we're in that catching the knife zone, trying to really pick bottom zone for now, as we are posting a higher low or a lower high on the chart, right? So lower high on the inverse chart and a higher low on the regular chart. Another really interesting thing to look at is we've really retested this level quite a few times, right? We had a 5,800 tested back in February, which I don't really count because it was a really extreme move the day before the SEC and CFTC meeting, and then from there we rallied right up to 12K. Then we're retesting this area, this key support area at the 61, 62 range, and starting to look like a top, right? But then in a worst case scenario, let's see if you guys can see my VPVR on my chart. You guys can't, so I'm just gonna do this, and probably gotta make this smaller. Struggling. There we go. All right, so now you guys can see my VPVR on the chart, and essentially there's quite a bit of volume gap. So if we do break past these levels, if we do break past that 5,800, my next hunt down for a long would be right at 4,800, 4,801. That would essentially be my next position for trying to hunt bottom, would be where that volume gap is. But we're not quite there yet. The chart doesn't always correct itself and go back up and refill these volume gaps. So I really want to see how the next few days develop, and if price. All right, so Eduardo asked what CME is. CME is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It is where institutions in the US can currently trade Bitcoin, and they're not trading Bitcoin, they're essentially trading Bitcoin futures. This is where the big institutional money is currently betting on the price of Bitcoin to go up and to come down. Think of it as the BitMEX of institutions, right? That's what CME is. These guys can buy futures. It's a 5 Bitcoin minimum trade, and they can leverage them, and they can, it's just like BitMEX, but it's set up for institutions. I'm not sure about how, what the leverage and liquidations look like on CME. I haven't traded on CME, but it is the institutional exchange for some of the bigger market participants in the US. Right, looking at MarketCap, a lot of alts had a nice rebound, and last time we saw alts act this way was whenever we caught that 57, 5,800 bounce. So that seems a little promising for the market, though what's not very promising is what we're currently seeing in MarketCap. MarketCap is currently at a yearly low, I believe, right? We posted the last low at 223 billion, and we're currently sitting a little higher, maybe at 230 or so, 230 billion, and that is a yearly low. But, in a sense, we want to see capitulation. We want to see a yearly low. We want to see the market, essentially bottom out before the next rally. That's just how markets work. And what we saw in, I think, last Saturday when BitMEX went down, a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. The most confident traders are like, hey, let me log into my BitMEX, see what's going on with my account. Did I get liquidated? Did I get stopped? Why can't we log in? So anytime we see those really big moves, it gets really interesting afterwards. A good example would be China FUD last year and JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon FUD last year. Alts are still at posting lower lows, right? They're kind of mimicking the overall market cap without BTC. And what's interesting is Bitcoin dominance, right? Bitcoin dominance is still climbing. And I had said that BTC is going to start climbing and alts are going to bleed. I said that maybe 3 to 4 weeks ago. And dominance is showing exactly that, right? I said, hey guys, kind of shy away from alts quite a bit. And yeah, and we're experiencing an altcoin sell-off. I do want to see what alts do at that 17% mark, right? They tend to retest the previous low, find support there and rally. As for, alts overall, currently we're not seeing all altcoins rally except for today. We saw Mona, I think, was a top gainer. Zcoin had a nice rally today. And we're seeing all start to move, but if we do get that, an ETF approval and BTC starts going on these ETF runs, we're going to see what we saw last year during Bitcoin Gold and Bcash Forex. All right, fam, hit me with some altcoins. Unless you guys have questions about what I just covered, shoot me some altcoin requests. I'll cover the altcoins of your choice. We got quite a bit of time left in this power hour. You guys don't have any altcoin requests for me. Give it a minute or two. The reason I've got Zcoin pulled up is because one of our analysts was pointing out, hey, look at Zcoin, it's looking rather aggressive. I was looking at the Binance chart for volume. It's at 39 BVol, not very interesting. But what's really interesting is where it's at. That actually found support in these previous lows. Early last year, I said Zcoin was a buy around $7.50. Not that I'm a financial advisor by any means, but it was just my opinion. And it went up all the way to 140. So we're just looking at it. It's looking like a TD7 or a TD8. So you want to see what it does over the next few days. If it can close above that key resistance, it might look interesting. If not, it really likes to range trade, right? It really likes to range trade at bottoms. So we'd be waiting to pick next bottom before it can rally. Essentially, this could be a range trade. All right, looking over at ZRX. I'm going to cover ZRX, and then I got some requests coming in off Facebook. So you got Neo, BNB, and Zill. So let me go over ZRX first. Right, ZRX have been showing something really interesting on the intraday. Go to a 4-hour chart. We had seen this inverse head and shoulders, a really small shoulder. I think we just saw a more prominent shoulder post on the chart. I'm going to go ahead and draw it out. All right, and ADA's looking very much similar. ADA's got a more aggressive, more distinct pattern. Here we saw somewhat of a rally, and it failed. It posted an inverse symmetrical triangle for a come down, and we didn't quite see a lot of volume come in for this leg up. Not on Bittrex. I'm just going to go to Binance really fast, see where that volume came in. Still not seeing that volume coming in on any of the exchanges. Essentially, the point of convergence here, what I'm looking for on ZRX, I'd posted that a signal on it essentially a few days ago, and then it made this leg down. It's got stopped out, and I'd want to wait for a more further confirmation of a breakout. Moving averages on the 4-hour look good. It looks like it wants to break up as in go upwards. I've also added the various moving average strategies. These are EMAs. They help us more with these current market conditions where we're not seeing these really big rallies anymore. We're just seeing these bursts of up and down. If you guys can see, we're almost at a sell signal over here on the moving averages on my RSI. So I would want to wait and see what happens further at this neckline. I want the chart to essentially form support above that 1417 level, right? Because we're not into dollar cost averaging on the way down. You can keep buying these dips and never sell. And then, one of the bullish pieces of news that we saw in ZRX was Coinbase acquisition, possible Coinbase listing. Well, we saw Ether Classic. I got a really good price surge coming in from Robinhood listing, which is Robinhood's app for crypto. And then when it listed on Coinbase, it really didn't have that much of oomph to it. And the reason most likely is the market's in a soft. Nobody's excited about buying any crypto right now. When they see BTC down in the last few days, what did we pull back? So when we're looking at people that are, Coinbase users that don't exactly trade actively, right? You see something pull back 21.36%. Almost everything on Coinbase pulled back that far, and then they see Ether Classic. They're not really interested in buying the market. But where this is going to come in is the next crypto rush we get, where we're seeing surges in prices like we saw in November, December, even before then, like last Thanksgiving. That's when those Coinbase coins, those Coinbase listing coins, are going to be expected to make some upwards moves. I'm going to cover Neo, BNB, Zill, and then go into ADA. Right, I had covered NEO last time and I said there's going to be more blood on NEO. I expect more of a capitulation sell-off, something like we saw over here, into further lows. I'm not good at picking bottom if the chart's not showing it to me, right? We do have a bottom picking strategy, but I'm not going to make a bottom prediction of where it's going to bounce. Moving averages look bearish. Momentum is to the downside. There's still no reversal formation. Yeah, it's not a buy in my book. If I could short NEO right now, I would short NEO, or I would still be shorting NEO. You go to 1 day. And yeah, it's looking quite ugly. One thing we saw last market cycle with altcoins that actually rallied, we saw them come back down before the rally and retest previous breakout formations. And what I mean by that is where there's a breakout formation, we want to see that area turn into support, right? So here we see this massive pennant, and we saw NEO post a new high afterwards, consolidate back down, where? To that breakout formation, right? And then from there, break up and post an even higher high, and now it's currently consolidating back down. So we want to see what it does at this previous low, at this previous breakout formation, to see if it's going to hold or if it's going to go further down. We still don't have much news on China re-entering the market, and I figured by now we should. And we still don't have, any confirmation of China entering the market. Looking at, trying to find a TD here. Let me go find NEO on TradingView. On the daily, we're still posting a 4, so we expect further blood, right? I said that. Yeah, nothing really exciting about NEO right now. BNB. All right, so if you guys don't know my opinion of BNB, I believe is a hedge against BTC, right? Anytime BTC makes gains, BNB loses value. And anytime BTC pulls back, BNB posts highs. And why is that? My theory behind it is Binance, the exchange, use it as a way to hedge their BTC holdings against the market. So when BTC starts entering a sell-off, what they do is they sell their BTC for BNB on the exchange. What that happens is it increases the price of BNB, and then market participants come in and buy it up a little further and further, and essentially it's going to be a good hedge against BTC. You're riding the Binance wave, right? But the importance is when BTC turns around and starts posting new highs, it's a good time to sell BNB, to sell that hedge. At some point, I don't know if this is ever going to end, or if BNB is just going to keep going up and posting new highs, or if it's actually going to end up losing value, or if Binance is going to get in trouble for this. We do know that they're not a U.S. exchange, essentially moved everything offshore, so they're pretty much safe from the SEC and CFTC. What's really interesting right now on the daily, we're seeing what looks like a bull flag on BNB, and it's holding below my my favorite moving average on the daily, which is essentially acting as resistance. I don't see other areas where it's done so tightly, right? Where it's hugged that MA so tightly. Let's add an RSI. Just go into various indicators. I am getting somewhat of a sell signal here. It might be too soon to do so. We did see BTC essentially make the same formation at 84 to 8200. Let's look for a divergence on a 4-hour. Do we see a divergence here? I see one, right? And that lets me know it might be a good time to start scaling back into BTC off BNB. The chart is posting a new high. while RSI is not. It's posting lower highs. This is exactly what we saw on the BTC top a couple weeks ago. I'm going to go back to that chart. Real quickly, if I'm covering your altcoin, if you like my analysis, click like. If you don't like my analysis, click like. It's not my fault. These charts are bearish. I don't control them. I'm just giving you my opinion. So do me a favor, please click like if I'm covering your coin. And we saw a very similar setup on BTC where RSI had stopped making new highs and the chart did make a new high, and then we entered the sell-off. So BNB, if I was in BNB, I would start profit taking. That's what I would do. It's not financial advice. Awesome. All right. So I covered a couple from Facebook. I'm gonna hop back, cover ADA from YouTube. All right, ADA's got a little bit more of a distinct head and shoulders formation. We are on auto. We go to a 2 hour. Right. Anytime playing one of these, we essentially want to set a stop over here, especially since this shoulder is very pronounced. BTC had made a leg up and is currently consolidating, I believe. So we're gonna see ADA react accordingly. Once again, the short-term strategy I'm working on with these market conditions gave a buy at 17 and essentially posted a sell at 1800 satoshis, right? Posted another buy over on 17, posted another sell up here at that 18.4. So hodling isn't exactly the best strategy right now, right? Setting up some tradable strategies that one's going to execute accordingly to is going to be the best way to trade the current market conditions, because we're seeing these volatile legs up and volatile legs down. As for ADA, let me go to 1 day and see what moving averages are doing on a bigger scope. And in the larger picture, we just got one moving average breakover or crossover. I'm seeing a long signal on the SMA strategy from a few days ago. I waited for the neckline to essentially close before posting about it. And I want to see ADA start essentially making newer highs, or at least going back and retesting the 2000 mark, right, where we had that previous resistance, and so forth. If not, it might get ugly. It might come back down to the 1000 before the actual breakout last year where it made 1000% up. All right, going over ZIL. I'm still seeing blood here. On the daily, there's no, I'm not seeing anything that says it's a buy. Are we seeing a divergence here? There's somewhat of a hidden bullish divergence. I take that back. Somewhat of a hidden bullish divergence on the RSI lows at pushing at 22. Just gonna go ahead and highlight that really fast. Right, so we're seeing a much lower low, and on the chart, and we're seeing the same RSI lows. ZIL is currently back into the trading range post listing. Let me pull it up, see if we got a TD9 or a TD13. Currently posting a 5, right? You don't usually want to trade a 5. This was a 1 sell, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd expect a little more blood on ZIL. Once again, real quickly, we're momentum traders. I'm a momentum trader. Our Discord is momentum traders, so we tend to essentially ride the momentum up, and not hodl, right? Because hodling in these market conditions is not working. If it's working for you, you're a liar. I'm just gonna say that. Power. unless you're holding a short position, you're not really making gains. Power is currently back down to somewhat of the previous low that it posted, right? And I'm not quite seeing another long entry here. It's retested this low 1, 2. This is the third time it tested this range. Just gonna go over to TD sequential. Whoa. And looking at power last time, it posted a 9 on the daily close, a green 9 for a couple of legs up, right? We had traded this token on the retracement. We bought it at 3,000 and started, profit taking. We set our stop losses up here, so we rode the momentum up and then started posting near lows. So we haven't really touched this since. We're looking at a daily 4 on the sequential. It's not too promising, right? I'm not seeing a long entry on the 1 day. I'm not seeing a dragonfly doji. I'm not seeing a reversal formation. Maybe I'm being too bearish. Let's go into a 4-hour chart. All right, 4-hour chart. I'm seeing a trading range, right? It's going to be several types of traders. I don't know if you're a range trader or if you are a breakout trader, or if you just don't know what your strategy is. But whenever we're looking at trading ranges, it's essentially an easy way to trade. You got your resistance, or you got your support. And you've got your resistance, right? A range is going to be identified by 3 touches. So 1, 2, 3, 4 touches, almost a 5th touch. So it's currently in a trading range. It's risky to trade a range, especially at a low, but one can essentially wait for the low to post again, buy the bottom of the range, and then hope it turns around and sell the top of the range, or have a tighter stop somewhere below. It's like on a 4-hour fractal, maybe at, buy that 31.80, sell the stop loss at the 30.50. And if it goes back up to that 33, if it breaks that top of the range, breaks this resistance at 35, right? There's that posted fractal, and we can expect it to start rallying back up. I'm gonna cover Lumen or Litecoin. LTC. I'm gonna go over LTC, USD, and LTC, BTC. Right? Just I'm gonna try to give it a fair assessment. I've been saying Litecoin's a sell for months. Currently back at somewhat of a breakout formation. I had a capitulation run before the severe rally, right? I remember when Litecoin was sitting here and we saw that bull flag and essentially posted a signal, and people that didn't have a stop loss, they freaked out 2 days later and then woke up 5 days later and like, what in the hell just happened? So we want to see a capitulation sell-off. We do. And that's, I think, what we just saw in BTC. I was talking about that earlier on market sentiment and how you want to see the entire market get shaken out before you see a head turn. I don't think it's ready. We're even seeing higher RSI lows on the daily. I just don't think it's ready. The 3-day RSI is still posting these lower lows, right? I want to see RSI try to get back up here. I mean, it had broken past all supports, right? Anything that could have been a positive fib channel where I had consolidated previously, right? Where you can essentially trade them based on the pitch fan. I don't know if you guys can see my pitch fan. where you had support there, resistance there, broke above it, tweezer tops, comebacks down, falling wedge, that fails, comes back down, support turns into resistance, barely finds any support. There's a dragonfly doji, continues breaking down bearishly, bear flag, coming back down. What are we looking at here? I think we might be looking at a 9. That was the 9, so it could be 13, 10, 11, 12, 13. It could be ready. It's still very risky. I think it's a good time to keep an eye on it, right? So maybe see if it set an alert. I'll set an alert. I don't know if you're in our Discord. If you are, I'm pretty sure you are. I'll post my alert once it posts. All right, going into Lumen. I got a question about, is our Discord free? Our Discord's got free channels in there. A lot of the valuable data, right, where people are making gains and the stuff you're going to see in our To The Moon channel, that's not free. We're kind of a private club. It's we're not very pricey, right? I think it's a very fair value for what you get. We host workshops every week. I also take workshop requests. So if there's a concept that's not covered in our workshops that you want to learn, I will do my best to explain it in a live workshop scenario where everybody can ask their questions for more clarity. We do margin trading, we do altcoin trading, we post trading ideas, we've got some strong FATA channels. If you want to get in on our Discord, shoot us a message. How about this? We'll send you a link. We'll email you we'll Facebook message you a link or respond to your comment. Thank you, Akshay. Lumens. Oh, I said I'll cover Litecoin USD. Alright, so Litecoin USD still posting some of these lower lows on RSI. Let's look at it on the daily. This is where Litecoin looks somewhat interesting, right? Where it's a little bit of a divergence. Once again, I had said we want to set some alerts. It's at $62. Oh my god. This thing was at like $400, $352. It's insane. And what I had said earlier about a coin like NEO, I said it's going to come down and retest previous breakout formation. These are just things going through their cycles. The rally we saw in 4.7, we saw a lot of coins come back down, retest the breakout formation to make gains back up, right? And we played a lot of those trades. We made quite a bit of returns from like 4.7 to 5.9 when I'd send out a report saying, hey, this is looking like BTC bottom. We're going to see an altcoin rally as well. Problem is right now, alts are under ETF threat, right? So we're going to see some hesitation in the altcoin market as the others chart that I covered earlier in the video and MarketCap and market dominance is showing. So we want to see the retest of this breakout formation on the USD chart and see what happens. And that kind of is going to coincide on that BTC chart I was talking about earlier about retesting that previous low and seeing that true capitulation sell off. All right, going into Lumens. I mean, Lumen is somewhat looking good. There's this bearish engulfing candle followed by a bullish engulfing candle. Bulls and bears are pretty much squaring up, like going toe to toe. It's like, no, we want price to remain up here. What's interesting about Lumens is, yes, it had this massive breakout, and it formed this new low, and it hasn't retested it yet, right? It's still in that, essentially in somewhat of an uptrend. We're still seeing it post higher lows and lower highs. Lower highs isn't very promising. The fact that this high or this low is still higher than the trend line, we can assume with the current price action, right? This is just an assumption that the uptrend is accelerating, right? If you look at something like BAT, we had seen uptrend acceleration. We saw it reach that previous all-time high resistance where we sold it. We had a target for 40% on an overnight trade. And then we saw it sell back down past support, past where that pennant was on the daily. And I wasn't expecting to see that. And then it went back up. And I had a few subscribers and some people over here saying, hey, look at BAT. It's making gains. I'm like, we're not going to touch it until it gets back into that channel, and it was rejected at that channel. So one thing we're seeing here on Lumen is that it's still essentially going up. And what's more interesting about Lumens is with all the bullish media, everything that's came out on Lumens has been bullish lately. I didn't see a reason for the sell-off that just happened over here, right? I didn't see a reason for us to come down from 4K down to that 3,000 Satoshis and now back up to 35. So this sell-off was essentially induced by a market-wide sell-off and market dynamics, market sentiment. Essentially, everybody's selling off, going into BTC, possible ETF rally. Oh, BTC's dumping, sell everything. All right, so I think that's what fueled the Lumen sell-off, is just fear. All right, and this off. I'm gonna pull up Lumen on a TD. I think I can eye a TD9. I don't know. Let me just see if I can pull it up. Oh, we do see a 9, right? And then we saw 2 more candles come in. So essentially, based on DMARC's sequential trading system, there was a 9 there, 1, 2, 3, sold off into a 9. That was a red 9, which is a sell, green 9, which is a buy. This should have been a gift. And now we should see Lumens essentially start rallying back up. If it does, for us to post a 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to have to close 4 candles above the previous candle. It's going to have to close above the 4 candles previous, to the upside, to the downside, to start a new count. Hello, Andreas. So I'm still bullish on Lumens. I think I would tie up my stop at that trend line that I mentioned earlier. All right, did I miss any altcoins? I covered Zill, Power. You guys are very welcome. Thank you, Akshay. Jordy, let me go ahead and drop you a link to our Discord. Awesome. Well, if you guys have any more altcoin requests, I will take them. If not, we're going to call it a night. It's getting awfully late over here. Right. Trader Zed, I already covered ZRX for you. He's on our Discord. Awesome. Looks like I covered everyone's request. Once again, if you like my analysis, if you think it's good, give us a like, give us a share. If you want to hop on our Discord, let me know and we'll send you a link. I just sent one over to Jordy. Yeah, thank you all so much. And see you guys next live stream.